join the interview today. Okay. Today we are going to start a research project, and my name is Dong Yi. This video is for the section for media writing, and this is my first interviewer. And today we are going to talk about social anxiety, especially why many young people are afraid to face-to-face communication. And recent years, more and more people have started to feel nervous or uncomfortable in the social situations, even during the simple daily interactions. So, with the rise of the social media and online communication, it seems easier to hide behind the screens, but harder to engage in real conversations. Today, we hope to explore what causes this growing signs of the social anxiety and how it affects the personal and the professional life. So, do you think that today's young people are more afraid of face-to-face communication compared to those in the past, and why?
Okay. You asked me a very good question. Are young people nowadays afraid of face-to-face? I think young people, you would say, are people that are now in universities or in schools. Which one? Do you want me to say both? Schools and universities?
Yeah, both.
And adults. I call them young adults, okay? So I think young adults nowadays are very good at communicating online. They're very IT savvy and very good on emails, and research have shown that when it comes to communication through technology and assisted, they are fantastically very good. But however, because they have got so good with the technology assisted communication, I think some of them may be experiencing some social discomfort in having face-to-face relationship. There are many studies that have showed that when it came to communicating online, written work, 9 out of 10 people, young people say they are very confident. When it comes to face-to-face, half of them say they are confident, half say not confident. And you know something? Most of these half who say they are not confident are actually young women. So their statistics and studies lately show that part of the reason why they are fearful, or not even fearful, I would say they're uncomfortable with this face-to-face, is because they're afraid of being judged or afraid of saying the wrong word.
Okay, it's a really good point. And speaking of that, I'm curious that in what kind of the situations do you think young people really feel the most anxiety when they communication in person?
Yes, I think when it comes to online as opposed to real life, I will compare them both. Okay, in online they have the ability to have some control. They have time, they got time to think, and it's mostly one-sided, you know, and they can, and it's not relational in that sense that even if it's relations, the language they use is sometimes very particular to that group of people. So you can have lots of symbols and figures and many things to represent language. The problem is they become so good at this, but when it comes to real life communication, even if they are normal, they don't have any social anxiety, in real life they are sometimes cannot think. You know, they have to think too fast. They have no time to think to form. Yes. So when they don't have time to think, they sometimes afraid to speak up and afraid that people will judge them. And they get this anxiety of actually talking. And they also, in media, online and all, it's just one, sometimes a two-dimensional where you use the same language for every situation. Maybe you polish it a bit, but in real life situation, The situations are you need high response, you need to be aware of the language you use, you know how to choose the right language. So young people nowadays are increasingly getting a bit very anxious about how to use the right language also to communicate.
Yeah. So I see that's my side. Maybe part of this has to do with how communication has changed in the digital age. And what's your view on the role of the social media in all this?
Oh yes, the social media is very interesting. It has in some way made people who have some issues communicating or making friends. The social media has opened up their world for them. They form a profile online, they can make many friends. In many sense, it has become blur between the social world and the real world. So in many sense, for some of them who are struggling with loneliness and struggling with maybe some difficulties and anxiety, I think the social world gives them an opportunity to still stay in contact. But what has happened is, the more people stay in contact in this world, the more they like this world where they don't feel lonely, where they are not judged, where they can think before they speak. But the more they do that, and the more hours they spend on social media, the more time they spend on social media, the brain cannot process as fast when they come to the real world. So in the real world, the relationship formed in the real world becomes more complicated and more difficult, and they try to bring how they form relationship on the social world to the real world, but sometimes it doesn't work.
Yeah. It's the time for people to think of the questions.
Yes.
That's a good point. So since the online habits might be shaping our comfort levels, and I wonder that what do you think are the main causes behind this face-to-face anxiety, such as failure to communication or lack of the practice?
Yeah, I think main reason is the increasing use of social media, and more people rather spend time on their tools, technology tools, connecting with people in a way they feel comfortable. Okay, and the more they do this, they lose the ability to use parts of the brain that actually can allow them to connect with people in the real world. Their brain is not flexible. They go on automaticity instead of learning the language and learning to communicate in different social areas. So the cause of this could be maybe, they find it less judged. Maybe they find that most of their friends are online. It saves them time moving from place to place and meeting people outside, but rather from their home, they can connect with their friends. The ease and the availability of having to connect with people online is amazing, and it has brought a lot of benefits. But in the long run, as people need to go and live in the working world, they need to form relationship, they need to work, they need to establish relationship with parents. They lose that.
Yeah, and they need to the social communication ability. Yeah, so besides the personal habits, environment might also matter. And how do you think that families, schools, or society in general influence the young people's confidence in social situations?
Yes, I think it is very obvious now if you look and see how our environment is set. There is very little interaction with the young people and the old people, or young people with families. When you go out, you see families not like before sitting together and interacting. You don't see even the coffee shops and all are not geared for interaction. They're all geared for charging your phone, charging your computer. Young people are being isolated in many sense, or isolating from other older people who are less competent in technology but are very world-like wisdom and real interaction. So younger people don't know how to communicate, and worse still, the environment outside the social world divides them. So young people have this kind of environment, parents have this kind of environment, older people have this kind. So there's lack of communication. And even at home, a young person may sit in the room, parents may be watching TV, older people might be sleeping. There is no
time to communicate. Yeah.
And so families are the only source, I think, where you can teach someone like this to interact with the outside world. But if that is missing, then the young people become increasingly dependent on the social world. So to improve, I think we need to do something about this.
It's a very thoughtful point. So is this kind of the anxiety something that most young people experience, or is it more common among the content groups?
Say that again, darling.
Is this kind of the anxiety something that most young people experience, or is it more common among the groups?
Yes, it is very common. It is common. And so some people even say, would you believe this, but I saw some research where it said that some people who go online and learn how to communicate online actually do very well outside. Not online, but physical. But these studies are very few. Most of the studies say that actually it has the opposite reaction. So in order for us to get the young people to reduce the social anxiety, I think the best thing it would be is to increase and develop more external environment and create more activities where young people actually can meet people and socialize with people, and also teach them how to actually develop these language skills again.
Okay, I see. If this trend continues, what kind of the effect do you think that it may have on young people's future, maybe in their career or their mental health?
Oh yes, very good question. I think if somebody has become so used to only phones and computers and online platform for communication, if they find jobs that are related to online, then maybe they would be okay. But how many online jobs can you have? So most of these people actually have to go out and work, and they need to engage with colleagues, they need to engage with their bosses, they need to explain, they need to do presentation, they need to interact, not just have one-sided conversation. Because if they can't negotiate what is expected of them, or they can't negotiate any communication or argue any communication of any proposal, for the betterment of the company, they can't criticize or look at things and be able to present their views. If they don't have that language, then it would be very difficult for them to do well in their careers.
Yeah, it's quite important.
And on the case of mental health, I think we know that the more you isolate, the more you stay in your room, the more you only depend on your online friends, the less you actually interact with somebody physically, and the less you actually experience real life attachment, real life friendship, real life physical bond where you do things together. If you don't have all this, your mental health will suffer. Self-esteem will go down. Your well-being will suffer. And so, the talk about one of the things that causes depression is also not having enough physical activity and enough physical contact. So if you don't have enough of this, naturally a person will get depressed.
Okay, it's really important point. So thirdly, I'd like to ask, what do you think are some effective ways to help young people overcome this anxiety and communicate more confidently in real life?
Oh, I would say, I think I did make some notes about that before. We need to teach them young people skills. Okay, we need to teach them. Our education must change. We must have more interactive skills. Young people, studies have shown that young people, though they are very good in actually speaking, but they don't know how to negotiate. They don't know how to do a relational discussion. Okay, it's all like one-sided, and they think from their head rather than listening to somebody's point of view and then commenting on somebody's point of view. So we need to teach them skills on how to communicate. We also need to have more skills, and we should have more activities where we teach the young people interactive and I think social communication. So where they are in different situations, they must be able to put forward their point of view and also listen and respond and give feedback as well as receive feedback. Now, and of course online and written is not as strong as in a real life, because you have in a real life you have non-verbal, you have situation context. Young people don't know how to navigate this. They don't know how to navigate. And also I think language skills. So another way of helping them is if we change the way we think, like, young people only like to hang out in cafe where they can use their phone and charge their computers and go online immediately, and yet they have young people sitting in the same cafe and they don't talk. They can even have their mother and father also online and they don't talk. And it's all through communication. The problem with this is somebody needs, I think this situation of not communicating is really sad. So as a society, we should actually build more productive family homes, more youth centers, more games, physical games, more sports, more recreational dancing, and on real physical, rather than just seeing people do it online.
So these are really helpful ideas. And if you could give one simple piece of advice to young people struggling with this, what should it be?
I would say to people, who are struggling with social anxiety, you thinking social anxiety or any communication problem? Any. I would say to people, yes, online is good. Yes, making friends online is good. But I think, like I told one student that I used to counsel, I used to be a counselor, you see, and this student had created communication with people only one-sided. So he had things in his head which he would pull out and communicate. And I used to say to this guy, and to many young people who do this, life is more than that. Life sometimes bring you a little bit difficulties and challenges, but we must learn how to deal with it. So be courageous, be strong. Sometimes if you keep trying, you will get better at it.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, and your site will be really helpful for understanding how we can support young people to become more confident in the face-to-face communication. And that's all. Really thanks, Miss.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Finished.
Yeah.